So yesterday was Rosh Hashanah, a big Jewish holiday, and this year the Jewish holidays fall from early October through mid-October, with obviously the anniversary of October 7th right in the middle of that calendar. And so this is a really good op-ed by Rabbi Andrew J. Kahn, which was published yesterday in Time magazine. As an American rabbi, Israel's actions don't make me feel any safer. In November of 2023, I was helping to run one of the biggest Reformed Jewish after-school programs in the U.S. Every day, the parents and much of the administration were abuzz with fear of the ongoing pro-Palestine protests that surrounded us in Brooklyn, New York. Would they target us? Did we need to amp up our security? Would they make our community unsafe? Should we even be gathering at the synagogue during protests? Should we cancel religious school to keep the children safe? I decided to go to one of these protests in Bay Ridge, a very outspoken pro-Palestinian neighborhood in Brooklyn. Having heard many rumors about the protests being hostile to Jews, I wanted to see for myself. But when I got there, I was surprised to see elders wearing Stars of David and kids holding signs with other Jewish symbols. I myself was wearing a yarmulke. About halfway through the march, a Palestinian man approached me and said, "Thank you so much for being here. It's always heartwarming to see our Jewish siblings join us." He shared his own experience of exile from Palestine and his family's ongoing troubles. I had come braced to be afraid, but in reality, I immediately, became a part of the community. What I felt was safety. This year, the Jewish high holidays fall from October 2nd to 12th, bracketing the anniversary of October 7th. Today, on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, and for the rest of the holy days, Jews worldwide will reflect on the year that has passed in order to improve in the year to come. As we meditate on this past year, it's important that we look closely at the ways we have reacted with fear instead of understanding and compassion, and assess the accuracy of these perceptions so that we can, in the coming year, improve not only our responses, but work towards healing a very broken world. Since October 7th, 2023, it has become a major talking point in world politics to claim that my safety as an American Jew depends on the might of a country thousands of miles away. Back in September 2023, U.S. President Joe Biden said, "I think without Israel, there's not a Jew in the world who's secure." In March, Rabbi Amiel Hirsch of Stephen Wise Free Synagogue in Manhattan stoked utterly unfounded fears that, in fact, Hamas is not only waging this war in Israel, but plans to spread their violence to America. Quote, "If they defeat Israel, they will come for us in Europe and America." This idea that American Jews are unsafe is often justified by conflating the American Jewish community with Israel and blurring the line between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. This trend stems from adopting the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's working definition of anti-Semitism, which includes within it some sweeping references to criticisms of Israel as anti-Semitic, like, quote, denying the Jewish people their right to self-determination, e.g. by claiming that the existence of a state of Israel is a racist endeavor, or applying double standards by requiring of it a behavior not expected or demanded of any other democratic nation. That, I mean, you talk about Orwellian language, right?
Like who decides what other people's standards for how a democratic nation is supposed to behave are?
Right.
There's a pretty wide range of opinions on that.
And of course, what they want is not to avoid a double standard. They want a double standard in their favor. They want special impunity. That's what Ta-Nehisi Coates was sort of talking about there. About we don't define any other state's existence as being born of rights. We define other states' existence as being born of force, of the fact that they have established themselves. So that is just an obvious double standard. They're the ones requesting a double standard. They're the ones demanding a double standard be applied to them for their benefit.
It is amazing to me how much after October 7th, because, they kicked me out of Hebrew school when I was 9. My neighborhood was Italian. So other than my family, which wasn't a very politically oriented family, I haven't really spent a lot of time around Jews over the course of my life. And once this came up, it's been pretty amazing to me how frozen in amber all the talking points are. It reminded me of shit they used to say to me when I was in Hebrew school as a child. Like it's the same stuff.
Right.
Oh, there's such a double standard around Israel. Like this is exactly the talking points from the 70s. From the 70s. It hasn't changed at all. At all. It's all completely formulaic.
Exactly. The Anti Defamation League's recent off cited report on anti Semitism is an excellent example of this blurring. However, a thorough examination by media outlet Jewish Currents revealed that the ADL's work shows how the conflation of anti Zionism and anti Semitism skews the data, ultimately serving as a reminder of the need for serious statistical analysis done by an organization not beholden to Israel advocacy. Rather than accurately assessing American Jewish safety through sensitive analysis, the ADL's report combines a variety of accounts and events, framing political protests against Israel as equally dangerous to actively anti Semitic attacks, manufacturing a narrative of Jewish persecution, which stokes fear throughout the Jewish community. Conflating criticism of Zionism with anti Semitism leads to understanding the ongoing violence against the Palestinian people as an unfortunate side effect of protecting global Jewry. Exactly. However, the idea that Israel's war in Gaza and now Lebanon is entirely about Jewish safety is not actually born out of words by Israeli leaders themselves. Rather than proclaim that the primary goal of the offensive on Gaza was to retrieve the hostages, Israeli leaders have been explicit that their goals prioritize vengeance and collective punishment. During a news conference on October 12th, the president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, proclaimed, "The entire nation is responsible. This rhetoric of unaware, uninvolved civilians is not true." This was in line with statements made by Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who asserted during his announcement of a total siege on Gaza on October 9th that we are fighting, yes, human animals, we all remember that one, and we are acting accordingly. We will eliminate everything. They will regret it. Last slide. As we come towards a full year of Israel's offensive on Gaza, escalations in the West Bank, the opening of a front in Lebanon, and a direct attack on Israel by Iran with fears of further escalation in the region, I actually feel less secure as an American rabbi than I ever have before. But not because of protesters. Jewish institutional leaders and American politicians fueling fears of anti-Semitism that isolate Jews is what feels dangerous. Yes. The times I have felt safest and most secure in my Jewishness has, to the contrary of the mainstream narrative, been in shared spaces where Jews and non-Jews are working together towards justice, whether during protests against the ongoing attacks on Gaza or in the wakes of George Floyd's murder. As a 2,000-year-old Jewish holy text teaches, "Beloved is peace, as God announces to Jerusalem. They will only be saved by means of peace." So that's a wonderful op-ed. It's not particularly long. I encourage you to find that and share that when you can, because this is something that, we've been saying for a while, but because we're a couple secular, sarcastic, shit-talking Jew boys ourselves, our words don't carry the same weight as a Jewish rabbi saying this as the
Yes.
Jewish high holidays start.
Yes. It is rather ironic that the holidays fell right on the anniversary like that. And God bless them, man. And this is where it's been a mixed bag with the corporate media. On the one hand, you see like the goons who piled on Ta-Nehisi Coates in that interview. On the other hand, they are allowing more space for these kinds of criticisms of Israel in the corporate media than they ever have before. I think I can say that with confidence, and just having lived in this country my entire life. This kind of thing would never have been published, I don't think, even 10 years ago.
No. No.
And I do think that is partly an outgrowth of, I think there's a generational conflict going on in a lot of these newsrooms. I think a lot of the younger ones who have been reared on social justice and colonization narratives are making demands on the higher ups. I think there's a real struggle going on. We know at the New York Times they've had these open brawls in the newsroom about how Israel is covered. And it seems like it's really breaking down along generational lines. That's the only explanation I can find for why things like this are finding their way into Time magazine.
Yeah.
There's pressure from the younger ones coming up and the older ones who have always towed the line.
Yeah. No, I think that's right, because I can't imagine an article like this being published in an outlet like this even 3 or 4 years ago, even 2 years ago, even in a pre-October 7th world.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I mean, it's great to see someone who is whose words carry weight that most of us layman Jews words don't carry, because it's easy to dismiss a couple of sarcastic Jew boy podcasters when we say that, well, it makes us feel less safe. It does make us feel less safe. When we did the whole Tractor Supply Nazi trilogy of segments there, we had it. We got a lot of incoming people just basically slamming us for being Jews. Oh, it makes sense. You would think this because you got triggered. Your Jew boys got triggered.
Yes.
Your Jew, like this is happening as
I
a
guess
result.
this is a blind spot for you.
Yeah, there's a blind spot for you, right? All that. This is happening as a result of what's going on. That backlash that we got to
It
those
is
segments.
mainstreaming anti-Semitism.
Exactly, it takes place in context.
You know
Yes.
what? Little backstage stuff here. So we cut a little bit of my interview with Dave Rubin because I asked him a question in that direction, but I didn't qualify it with "I'm Jewish."
Right.
So it comes off like I'm being a Nazi.
Right.
I asked Dave Rubin, "Do you think what Israel is doing is reinforcing ideas about Jews controlling the media and politicians?"
Right.
But it wasn't really usable because I didn't say as a Jew.
Right. You're right. It wasn't put in the context of, hey, as a Jewish person, don't you think this is perpetuating stereotypes
Right.
against me?
Please clap.